Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Now, there are moments in life where the path in front of you is already decided. A diagnosis, a prognosis, a set of options that feel final. But sometimes people step outside that path, not because it is easy, but because something in them refuses to accept the limits they've been given. Today, we're exploring that kind of decision. Joining me is Rick Hill, whose journey through illness, recovery, and personal conviction raises deeper questions about health, belief, and the choices we make when everything is uncertain. Rick, welcome to Thought at Last. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Been looking forward to this.
Awesome. So, Rick, before we kick things off, here on Thought Atlas, I and my listeners, we want to get to know our guests on a personal level. So, if you don't mind, can you tell us more about yourself, how you grew up, your best food, your some of your hobbies, anything to just get for us to just get to know you better.
Okay. Grew up in Detroit, Michigan, so kind of a gearhead, auto
Oh yeah, yeah.
auto guy. Had a 57 Ford with you know, slick tires, Hurst floor shift.
Wow.
Yeah, fun. And being from a big city, the auto at that time, the auto center of the world. It was quite an exciting place. When people hear I'm from Detroit, they go, "Oh, the poor guy." No, it's Michigan's a beautiful state.
Yeah,
And I grew up a greaser. Do you know what that is? Have you heard that term?
I think I have, but I don't think I know what it is.
It's kind of
Eh,
like the Fonzie, you know, uh, with the swept back hair and the black leather coat and that kind of
oh
thing.
yeah, yeah. I think I know that aesthetic. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I
You
grew
you
up a
you had
greaser.
you had a lot of swagger back in the day.
Yeah, little swagger, handling it. Had a 57 Ford. Um, Little blonde girlfriend.
Wow, you were definitely getting to know the ladies back then.
Yeah.
I'm sure of that. Wow, wow.
So I got into quite a bit of trouble being a greaser
Oh
in
my,
Detroit. And
yeah.
so my mother sent me to a Bible college to straighten me out. I,
Oh wow.
I can't say that it totally worked, but
Yeah.
she made the try, so that's all that counts. But while I was there, um, I began studying the Bible and learned that it had a lot of great stories in it. And I'm a storyteller. That's what I do for a living. I love the concept of story. I was a Knight Ridder columnist, a syndicated columnist, and it was a humor column. So every week I had to come up with two funny stories and tell them. And then I got into screenwriting. I never got anything made into a movie, and nothing was good enough. But I did
Yeah.
learn the process, and that's important for to be able to tell a good story, to have an inciting incident, and then three
Yes.
acts, and then resolution.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're just rambling. If you don't know where you're going when you're trying to communicate, it just rambles. So
Yes.
today, I'm
Yes.
not going to ramble. I'm going to communicate.
Definitely not.
And but it was after I graduated college and was the principal of a Christian day school that in one day my entire trajectory of my life changed. And that one day was the day that I found out I had terminal cancer
Oh my
at
God.
24 years old.
What?
Yeah, I had been married 1 year. We were expecting our first baby. And here I am with the sentence of death. So you can imagine that that's a stirring. inciting incident in one's life, especially
Yes.
that young. And so let me collapse the story here to make it more interesting.
Yes.
I I was at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. I had had 8 hours of surgery
Oh
to
my God.
clear up embryonal cell carcinoma, high grade, which is like stage 4.
Oh my God.
And I was scheduled to meet with the chemotherapist on a Friday for him to prescribe chemotherapy. But Friday morning, I got a letter in the mail, and that letter had a 10-cent stamp on it. So you know I'm not lying about the date. This was
Yes.
1974
Oh, wow.
in October.
That was way before I was born. Way,
I
way, way
know.
before I was
It's way before almost everybody was born.
born.
So I'm
Wow.
75 now. I guess I lost a year. I'm 75
Wow.
years old now. And so, yeah, 24, I didn't imagine that my life would be in such turmoil. But I got this letter. I opened it up. My wife handed me the envelope and it said, "Dear Rick, if you want to live, you might have to leave the Mayo Clinic." Signed it, John. Well, I knew who John was. It was John Ballantyne, a Baptist minister. I thought he was kind of a kook, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
He was a John Birch Society member. Do you know what that is?
No, not really.
Okay, doesn't matter. John Birch Society, of which I'm a member now, but
Wow.
certainly not then, is a very conservative group. Not necessarily like Make America Great Again or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah, I
They're not
understand.
affiliated with any party, but they are conservative, very conservative. And he would come to chapel where I went to college, and he would preach about, 15 minutes on Jesus and
Yes.
40 minutes on how do we get out of the United Nations. We shouldn't be there. Bunch of liberals, he'd go on and on and on. And me and the
Yeah.
other enlightened ones would sit in the back of the auditorium. We go, oh boy, here he goes. Here we go. I know, get out of the UN. Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, so when I got this letter, I didn't take it seriously, but I thought I'd call him because I thought, what a bunch of nerve to tell me to leave the Mayo Clinic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I called him up. I said, John, it's Rick Hill. Hi, Rick. Listen, whatever you're smoking, could you send me some? Now, I knew he wasn't smoking dope. He knew
Yeah.
I didn't smoke dope. But that started the conversation on an even keel. If he's
Yes.
going to tell me to get out of the United Nations, I'm going to tell him to quit smoking dope. So
Exactly.
I said to him, what are you thinking? I'm at the citadel of modern medicine. Do you agree with that? He said, well, yeah. I said, well, why would I leave that place? He said, because you're dying, aren't you?
Oh my.
And I said, yeah, I'm probably 60 days from meeting our creator. And I said, yeah, I'm really sick. I was down to 120 pounds
Oh my.
and I was on morphine already. So I've been having chats with pink elephants, the whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So he says, well, a well, not a bunch, a few of my parishioners, people that go to my church,
Yes.
went down to a clinic near San Diego with terminal cancer. They were only there a month and they came back, some of them almost well. I said,
Wow.
San Diego's nice. I mean, who wouldn't like San Diego? I said, John, is that really where they went? Well, no. They got on a bus and they had to go down to Tijuana.
It
So
was
I'm
being
going to leave the
sarcastic.
Mayo Clinic and go to TJ in the 70s. This was 1974. Remember what
Wow.
Tijuana was like in 74? Wasn't like it is now. And I said, well, my whole family has flown in to say goodbye to me. My time is gone. He said, yeah, I know. And I said, you want me to tell them I'm going to leave the Mayo Clinic and go to Tijuana? And what are they going to do for me there, John? He said, well, they have a derivative of a natural product. So it doesn't make you
Yes.
sick. Hair's not going to fall out. You're not going to throw up all day, the whole thing. I said, and what is this natural product? He said, well, it's made out of apricots, apricots. I
Yes.
said, I can't go to my family with this story. This is
He
too
literally,
much.
he literally wants you to go to Tijuana and eat a vegetable. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just,
a, a fruit. Yeah, a fruit. Here you go.
yeah.
And so I said, so I'm not going to go tell my family that tonight, but I am going to the Mayo Clinic today. I'm going to tell the chemotherapist what you said. Tattle on you,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
So he says, look, before he hung up, he said, good luck with that, pal. It's like he knows I'm going to get my head shot off. So we went to the Mayo Clinic. I sat down with him, told him what I told you, your listeners,
Yes.
and I thought he would be teaching me new swear words. This doctor, get out of my clinic. You're a, yeah. Instead, he leaned back in his chair and he says, you know, Rick, it is warm this time of year in Tijuana.
Yes. And that was your
I
hint to go.
My jaw dropped. I said, message delivered. Thank you for
Yes.
your honesty, and I'll probably never see you again. And I stood up, went to the door, turned around and smiled, and he smiled back. So I
Wow.
get in the car and I told my wife what he said. She said, he said to you it's warm in Tijuana. You mean he wants you to go there? I said, well, I don't think he was rubber stamping Tijuana. I think what he was saying was, I can't help you. You're too sick. If you want to
Mm.
go lay on the beach in TJ and sip tequila, knock yourself out. I said, I think that's what he meant. But I don't want to, we got home that night, we had dinner. My wife encouraged me to share, with the group. And I went around the table, told them what I wanted. My older brother, Sam Hill, you're not old enough to know what the gag is on that. But Sam Hill
Okay.
said, Ricky, we always knew you were stupid. We
Oh
just
my.
didn't know
Wow.
how bad it was. And so I went around the table and everyone basically said that. And I did learn a couple new swear words that night. But I got to my father-in-law, my wife's father,
Yes.
and he said, I like it. I'll take him down there and I'll help pay for it.
Oh, wow.
I said, deal. I mean, what other choice,
Yeah.
And 2 days later, I left for Tijuana, Mexico. And you talk about going down the rabbit hole. You take a
Yeah.
Detroit greaser and put him in Tijuana at a health food clinic. I'd never been to a health food store. If I knew where one was in Detroit, I wouldn't have gone. My mother was
Wow.
born in Alabama. She fried everything in lard, big iron skillet, usually pork,
Yes.
bacon, or chops, or, absolutely nothing nutritious, nothing.
Wow.
White bread, bologna sandwiches for lunch, cookies, Coca-Cola. I mean, come on. And all the kids ate that way. It wasn't like I was being rebellious. So
Yes.
When we got down there, I went to my first health food store in San Diego. And you talk about walking back in time. Ravi Shankar music playing in the background. Everyone's wearing completely wrinkled, 100% cotton clothing. I'm
Wow.
the only one in there with underwear. I mean, this is hippie heaven. That's not who I am. And I turned to my father-in-law and I said, "What have we done? There's nothing in here I want to eat." He said, "Well, you're
Yeah.
going to have to, son. I mean, this is a health place we're going to." I said, "We'll see tomorrow. Like, I'll call it off." So we get there tomorrow and I meet with a doctor named Dr. Contreras. And Dr. Ernesto Contreras said to me, Rick, we practice participatory medicine here. That means I need your help." I said, "With what?" He said, "Well, where you were at the Mayo Clinic, it's what they do to you: surgery, chemo,
Yes.
radiation, etc." I said, "Yeah." He said, "We don't do anything to you. We do everything with you and
Wow.
solicit your participation. Like, you need to change your diet." I said, "To what?" He says, "All organic, mostly raw, like fruits and vegetables, no
Yes.
more sugar, no more Cokes." And I looked at my father-in-law like, "You did this. This is your fault." And he looks back at me like, "I ain't eating that either." I mean, come on. I'm a big burly guy that runs Caterpillar tractors. I'm not going to
Yeah.
eat, yeah, I'm not going to live on sprouts. So I said, "Well, Doc, my church helped pay for this. My father-in-law here, Les, he helped pay for this. I will commit to do what you ask.
Yes.
I don't want to be sick or die in a couple of months." He said, "Fine. If you'll do what we ask, we'll get along fine. And frankly, I think you could recover." So what they gave me, your listeners want to know what they gave me, was so simple. Inside the apricot, there's a pit, hard shell pit. If you
Yes.
break that open with a hammer, you'll see inside what looks like an almond, little almond. Doesn't taste like an almond. It's very bitter, bitter, bitter.
Ooh.
And then it's got kind of an amaretto taste with it, which isn't bad. And they gave that to me. They ground those up with a high pressure thing into an oil and gave me intravenous shots in my arm with
Wow.
apricot oil. Yeah. And the first time they stuck that needle in my arm, I thought no one would believe me if I tell them. I'm picturing big apricot grove out back, bunch of people with hammers. Wasn't quite
Yeah.
like that, but
Yeah.
almost. Then they gave me enzymes, pancreatic. You have a pancreas up here.
Wow.
Pancreatic enzymes. Then this was discovered in 1902 that if you give someone with cancer a whole bunch of chymotrypsin and trypsin, which is pancreatic enzymes,
Yes.
it will find cancer cells because that particular pancreatic enzyme dissolves protein. So if you eat it on an empty stomach, there's nothing in your stomach to digest. So it goes looking like a beagle with a t-shirt. You know, it goes
Wow.
looking for cancer. And they
Wow.
gave me a bunch of those. Now, let me give away a book. Do I have your permission to do that? No.
Yes, of course. Please, please. Yes,
Okay.
you have.
This book is called World Without Cancer. It was written in the 70s. And it's a 300-page book, very scholarly.
Yeah.
So you know I didn't write it. And if you will log on your computer to B17 Works, Like B like boy, the number 17,
Yes.
works, WORKS, like
Yes.
Sam, B17works.com. You'll see a contact, what is it? A certified provider. Leave me a little box. Click on that, and you'll get a questionnaire. If you fill that out, I'm HIPAA certified. I'm not going to show it to anybody for any money,
Yes.
amount of money. Uh, I will contact you and we'll chat, and I've got ideas for you, including where to get the products that I used 51 years ago. They're legal now because we sell them as a food supplement only.
Oh wow.
So if you order them, it's going to say this is a food supplement, not to treat anything, just to make you healthier, you know?
Yes.
So that's the way we do it, and it's legal. The government knows. And I will send them a PDF. That means an electronic copy of the book World Without Cancer. No credit card needed, no charge. And I'll also enclose my book. My book is not 300 pages. My book is not 100 pages.
Wow.
My
Awesome.
book is about 90 pages because I wrote it. Big
Yes.
pictures, big print, but story after story after story of hope. So if
Wow.
your listeners are discouraged and they're thinking no one knows what it's like to die, read my book that's filled with humor. I don't think cancer is funny, but I think what
Yes.
people do about cancer is oddly funny. And they'll read that, and I'll send a PDF copy of my book, and they'll be entertained, but I think they'll feel there is a tomorrow, that cancer is not a sentence of death.
Wow.
So after 3 weeks of getting these shots, and oh, by the way, they also gave me a colonic. Not going to tell you what a colonic is because
I,
this is probably a family show.
yeah, I think I know what it is now. I can guess, right?
But the nurse came in carrying a bag and a hose, and I said, "What's that for?" And she said, "Have you ever changed the water in the radiator of your car?" I said, "Yeah." "How did you do it?" I said, "Well, you let the water out and then put clean water in and lay rubber out of the parking lot." She said, "Exactly." I said, "Well, where does the hose go?"
Oh
Not what
my
I
God.
was hoping.
That one must have been a crazy experience.
And on the streets of Detroit, we would have beat someone up who chased you down the street with a hose, you
Yeah.
know, for your bottom. I mean, I thought, oh boy, this is what have I done? But when Elvis died, Elvis Presley, they said
Yes.
he had 50 pounds of undigested matter in his colon, which
Mm.
eventually becomes putrid and
Yes.
leaks through the walls of your colon. And it's called leaky gut syndrome. Isn't that pleasant to think
Oh
on
my God.
before dinner? Yeah,
50 pounds. That's a lot.
50 pounds. I didn't want that. So
That's like a dumbbell.
I'm telling you. So I was bent over. And I got so clean, I whistled when I walked. I'm telling you, this thing was crazy. So I stayed there 3 weeks getting 3 to 6 grams, not milligrams, grams of this liquid apricot oil in my vein. I took the enzymes every day on an empty stomach to go find the cancer cells, as
Yes.
chapter 5 of World Without Cancer will tell you all about that. And at the end, I was no longer on morphine. I was able to stand straight up.
Wow.
I walked out of the clinic under my own power in 3 weeks. Wasn't cured. I don't know that anybody's cured. If I go back to eating the way I was eating, living the
Yes.
way I was living, I probably would get cancer again. So, but I was on the mend. I was feeling really better. And so I left and I went back to Minnesota. And that was my treatment 51 years ago with no relapse, no chemo, no radiation.
Oh my God.
And
Wow.
I'm here to tell your listeners it's always been true since the 1900, early 1902, they were doing this. But you didn't hear about it. You didn't know that this was, and worldwide, they treated over 100,000 patients with this, not just me. But you never heard about it because, sadly, our own government came after the people that were trying to learn what this is through the doctors in jail that wanted to use
Mhm.
it, prescribe it,
Oh my
and
God.
took away their medical license. Dr. Um, John Richardson, MD, was thrown in jail with his nurse, and later his medical license was revoked, and he died way too young with his life destroyed.
Oh
All
my God.
because he gave people what I had. And he wrote a book with 63 patients in it. One of them was a 13-year-old girl who was very close to death. And just about 3 months ago, she contacted John Richardson Jr. and said, by the way, your dad treated me 50 years ago. I was 13 then. I'm still here. Imagine that. And there's two ladies on my Facebook page, both with stage 4 cancer, both more ill than I was. They're still here 50 years later. In fact, one of them is going to be 56 years that she was down
Wow.
there. So,
Wow.
yeah, we're not dreaming this up. We're not lying about it. We're not just, telling a story to have a good time.
Yes.
I'm hoping your listeners learn enough that they may want to log on to that b17works.com, fill out that little one-page questionnaire, and maybe visit where I work, rncstore.com, like Rick, Nancy, Charlie, store.com, and look at the products, and they are exactly what I took. And we can ship them legally, and they're not very expensive. So here's what I want your people to feel: hope,
Yes.
hope. And I define hope as helping other people escape. H O
Oh.
P
Mm,
E.
mm.
It's not a sentence of death if we're willing to change our life. You can't keep drinking Diet Coke, a six-pack a day,
Yeah.
and think you're going to get well. It's not
Definitely
going to
not.
happen. So, what questions have I not answered of yours?
Honestly, Rick, you answered every single question. I think this is the best way to just conclude the show. I don't think I should. I think asking questions could spoil the whole vibe and all. And I don't want to do that at all. First of all, Rick, you're a fabulous, very, very good storyteller. I enjoyed your story. I love the dab and the hint of comedy you put in. It was so wonderful. I feel like I could make this into a Hollywood movie and it would go viral. I
Well, we
enjoy
got
this
the
story.
inciting incident when we got Act One, Two, and Three, and resolution, which makes it
Yes,
a fun story, not a depressing story. So maybe we
yes,
will someday.
yes. It was absolutely wonderful. I had a very good time. Rick, thank you so much. I love the way you slipped in because usually at the end of each show, I ask my guests, to provide contacts where my listeners could get to them, get to know them, get a hold of their products or their books if they have any. And I love the way you just slipped it in. You absolutely you killed it essentially. You are the host slash the guest. I was just a spectator and I loved it so much. I had a good time. You didn't I felt involved in the conversation and enjoyed it. It was so wonderful. Thank you so much, Rick, for coming on my podcast. I don't even know what to say anymore. I don't know
You're
if you have
welcome,
any.
and thank you
Yeah.
for being a part of the solution, not the problem.
Ah, yes, definitely 100%. Sorry, I don't know if you have any finishing thoughts, any fruitful thoughts or finishing words for I and my audience, something to leave us, wondering and pondering about life.
Well, I would say that there's a my Bible verse that I pick as my own
Yes,
is when Abraham was trying to get a wife for his son Isaac. And this is a little racist, but Abraham didn't want Isaac to get a wife from where he traveled to. He wanted,
yes,
yeah, somebody from hometown, like Detroit.
yeah,
Yeah, we want to do this
yeah.
the right way. So I'm not going to tell the whole story, but Abraham sends them back to his hometown with camels burdened down with jewels and gold and, to find this wife. And he finds her. And she comes back. They traveled over 400 miles to
Oh
get
my God.
this young woman. God spoke to Abraham and said, she's going to be at a well, going to offer you a drink and the camels a drink. That's how you know it's going to be her, which is
Wow.
mildly amusing. And he
Yeah.
gets back, and one of the other servants says, weren't you halfway through that trip and you thought, what am I doing? This is crazy. I have the same feeling. But the servant of Abraham said, no, I never felt that way because I, being in the way, the Lord led me. In other words,
Wow.
if you're striving to do the will of God,
Yes.
no matter how crazy things get, you can say, I believe I'm being led. And so they should not doubt. They should follow their heart and clean up their act, quit eating, deadly food, and
Yes.
and believe in their heart they can get well. That's what they should think about.
Wow. Rick, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on my show and enlighten I and my listeners. I've had an amazing time today. Thank you so much. I don't even in fact I'm going to drop probably the best review you've ever gotten on Podman. Thank you so
Thanks so
much.
much.
Yes. Rick, do have a wonderful day and do take care of yourself. And once again, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks so much. Bye bye.
Awesome. Bye.